In this video, we want to cover how to import your wrestlers from your track wrestling pre-registration into your tournament. So you'll notice that I don't have any participants in my tournament yet, but I do have a pre-registration open. I actually only have one wrestler that I've registered over there. Again, just because this is just a demo tournament and a demo video, you would obviously have a lot more than that, but the example will be made and you'll know how to do this after watching this video. So basically I'm going to go into my left menu and I'm going to click on registration and then click on pre-registration, and this will bring me to what we call the mapping page. As a side note, there are lots of different ways to get to this page. You can click on registration, click on import, and then pre-registration from there. So as you know, there are lots of different ways to get to the same page and the same place in track wrestling, but so whatever way you're comfortable with is fine. And so on the mapping page here, you'll see that there are two columns, and basically if you read these as sentences, it should make sense to you. In column 1, we're going to map the first name from the pre-reg into the first name in the tournament. And so basically it's just where we're going to bring that data from the pre-reg and where we're going to place it into the tournament. So it's important to have these correct and accurate before we get started. Most of you aren't going to have to make many changes to this. Some of you might have to, but in a lot of cases, in most cases, you're probably going to be able to go with the defaults here. But what you will want to do is notice a couple things. If I have a separation criteria and I've specified that under my separation criteria to include it in my pre-reg, it's going to be here in the mapping. The one thing though, and this is a good example to note, that in my pre-registration I added actual weight. And you may have added data fields in your pre-registration for actual weight. It could be for other things, maybe for waivers, things like that. Lots of different things that you might have added. And if you don't see them here, and if you've added them as data fields, you need to manually add those. So I'm going to do that and show you how to do that. I'm just going to click on column 15, and I want to map my actual weight. And that may have been off the page in the capture, but you'll see that I selected actual weight from my pre-registration, and I'm going to bring that into my actual weight into my tournament. So I have that mapped, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click Save Settings just to make sure that every time I come back here that I'm going to make sure I'm bringing that actual weight. And so if you have other data fields that you want to bring in, you can do that. Next thing we want to hit on here is the import types. There's two different selections here. You have insert and you have update. And so those two those two options are different, and it's important to make sure you make the right selection. The insert option is going to add new wrestlers into your tournament when you import. So any new wrestlers that are in your pre-reg that aren't currently in your tournament, it's going to bring those wrestlers in. And then the other option would be update, and if I updated, I'm not going to bring any new wrestlers in. I'm just going to update any changes that were made on the pre-registration system, and I'm going to update those also on the tournament system. So in my tournament, those updates will be made. There are reasons to do both ways. If it's your first time in and you haven't done an import, you're going to do insert. Most cases you're probably going to do insert, but there are definitely reasons why you might want to do the update. So I'm going to choose insert. I'm going to bring all groups. I could choose certain groups if I want. Again, most cases you're probably going to do all groups. And then I am going to choose to do both the paid and the unpaid participants. Again, depending on how your tournament's set up, you may answer that differently. And I'm going to OK, saying that I understand that statement. And then basically all I'm going to do is import my data. I'm going to be prompted to type both because I've selected both payment types, and I click OK. And you'll see that there's a note here that I had one wrestler successfully added, which is correct because I know that there was only one wrestler. Again, if you had 456 that you know are coming in, that's the number you should see here. So it's a good idea to kind of double check that. And so now you'll notice if I go into my wrestlers page that I have my wrestler there. This is Bob Jones. Here's the actual weight that we chose to map in because he entered that actual weight for my pre-registration. And if I click on Bob Jones, you'll see that all his